Hey class, welcome to lesson 8.4, annuities. An annuity is a series of payments or regular payments or on investments or back that truck up. An annuity is a series of payments or investments made on regular intervals. So last day, ladies and gentlemen, we took a look at the question I posed about retirement. And I stated that Miss R, yeah, and she's retiring at about 2030. I'm a little older than you guys are. And I needed probably about $1 million. If we go back to the compound interest formula that we used last class, I would need to invest at least probably $500,000 and let it invest for at least 20, if not 30 years in order to get $1 million. However, I don't have that money. So what I need to do is, and what most people in society need to do, is they need to make what's called regular payments. And I would gradually get to doing that. So whenever you think about doing a mortgage, or paying off a student loan, or getting a car loan, or making an investment into the future, you're probably going to do it in what's called annuities. An annuity is just a regular payment you're going to make. So currently for my mortgage, I make a $200 or a $300 payment every 2 weeks to help me with my mortgage. Okay? If you go to buy a new car, most likely you won't have enough money to pay for it right away. If you've saved up, awesome, you're pretty good at that. But if not, the majority of the population have to do what's called car payments. Okay? So they might pay, instead of having to pay $18,000 for a car, they may make it a payment of, I don't know, $350 each month for 4 years to get that $18,000. Okay? All right, so let's take a look at annuities. Now, there are several different ways you can look at doing annuity calculators. For example, in our graphing calculator, we have what's called the TVM, Time Value Money Solver. Okay? If you go to autotrader.com and you have a car that you're interested in doing, you look at the what's called loan calculator. If you're trying to buy a house on MLS.com, you can go there and it says a mortgage calculator. The banks themselves will have what's called mortgage calculator apps right on their website, and you just plug the information in. So it's similar to what we're going to be doing here. However, they just perform the same operations, okay? I just chose to use a TVM solver because we've got instructions in our textbook, which is page 591, and it talks about definitions and everything. But before we get into doing this, I want you to notice that, hey, we recognize N. We know what I is, but we're going to lose that as a percent. This is different. PV. Well, PV is what we call present value. So we're going to go up here for a second. Present value is the amount at the beginning. So P becomes PV. That's all. Present value. Okay? FV, that's a new term. That's future value. It's the amount at the end of the term. So that becomes your FV. All right? So let's just plug, before we plug some calculations in, let's just go over what each of these mean, because some are a little bit different, okay? So N, in this case, is the number of compound periods. And I believe these are on page 591 too, okay? Number of compound periods. So from last class, that's going to be your N, okay? What's different here is I, they want it as a percent, not as a decimal. So put it down as your interest rate as a percent. Okay, I'll put down, don't convert to decimal, okay? That's normal, I know. How many times have I told you to do that over the years, right? Don't convert to a decimal. Okay? PV, that's the present value, so that's the amount at the start, so that's like your principal. Okay? Payment, that's going to be what you're going to calculate, so that's going to be a regular payment. Future value, that's going to be your total amount at the end. So that's your A, or future value. P/Y, that means the number of payments per year. Okay? And C/Y is the number of compounds per year. And ladies and gentlemen, these will have to be the same. So as soon as you plug one in, the other one's going to back it up. Okay? And because we're always taking a look at payments at the end, because that's when the interest is added on. Okay? The only thing we got to think about is either you are giving money to the bank and they owe it back to you, or you're borrowing money from the bank and you owe them that. So there's got to be one of these cases in here, either the present value or the future value, where one needs to be negative. Okay? So taking a look here, guys, when you plug in, you get answers. Any money you give to the bank is negative. Okay? And deposits in a for example, deposit in a savings account, because the bank needs to realize that they owe it to you. Okay, so we'll figure that out as we do some examples here. Okay, and we plug some things in. And again, this is just an exercise in showing you one type of annuity calculator. Again, you've got them on the website. There's several apps. I'm sure you can get an annuity app these days to help you with this. But let's take a look at example 1. Okay, how much would your parents need to invest now? So what are we looking at finding? Now is what? Present value. So, oopsie, let me fix that up. Okay, so that's what we're trying to find. Present value equals question mark. Okay, at 5.2% compounded quarterly. So let's put the 5.2% in. We know that. Okay. Quarterly tells us what? 4 times. And how many years are we doing? So take 4 times 5 to give you 20. So you can actually type in 4 times 5 and it'll, when you press enter, it'll actually equal 20 for you. Does that for you. Okay. And then what do we need to have? We need to have a payment of $500. So our payment value is going to be $500. Okay, for the next 5 years. So say your parents want to help you out with university. How much do they need to put in now so that when you go to university in 5 years, you're going to get $500 each quarter for each term of your schooling? Okay? All right. So the first thing we want to do is find out payment, which is, present value. So let's put 0 in for now, but we're going to end up solving that later. I'm going to show you how to solve that. And at the end of this, we're not going to have anything left because, hey, you're going to spend all that money. So future value is going to be 0. Okay. Compounds or payments per year, it's quarterly. So that's going to be 4. And once you plug one in, you plug the other in. Okay. First I'm going to do is say, how the heck do you find this program on the graphing calculator? So I've got the TVM solver. To do that, ladies and gentlemen, you go to the app section. Look for finance, which is probably number 1 in many cases, and then just press enter and maybe enter again to get in. I'm going to show you because I'm going to pull mine up. Okay, and then all we're going to do is transfer this information on. The other question I want, or the other point I want to make out is how do we solve these? Once you've got every information in, you're going to highlight the one you want to solve and press the following buttons. Alpha, which is your colored button, and enter. And notice that we're going to probably have a negative value here, guys. All right. So let's transfer over to the graphing calculator. Here we go. Okay. How do I get there? I go to apps. I look for finance. It's number 1. It says TVM solver. I press enter again. And now I'm going to enter in my information. So I'm going to go 4 times 5. Enter. It'll say 20. 5.2, enter. Present value, I'm going to leave it as 0, and then I'm going to come back to it. Payment is, what did we say, 500. Okay, future value, we set as 0. That can stay as is. And payments per year is 4. And watch, as soon as I press enter, the other one's going to go clear it too. The same thing. So highlight, so arrow back up to present value. I'm going to press alpha and enter and notice what it gives you. Okay? I'm just going to screenshot my cursor down so I can screenshot it. Okay? All right. So I'm going to copy that, screenshot, so we can see what it looks like. Okay, I'm going to bring it down. Okay. And notice, ladies and gentlemen, notice that, if I bring it down over here, okay, notice that when we solved for our present value, notice that when we solved it's negative. So what does that tell us? That tells us that right now we're going to have to give the bank $8,755.98 so that in 5 years you can have to provide you with enough for $500 payment each quarter for 5 years. Okay, so your parents will have to save up some money. So let's do a therefore statement. Okay, therefore parents need $8,755.98. Don't forget your dollar sign. Now to make those regular payments. And that's just like when you have a retirement, guys. You want to know how much will I have to have at the date of my retire so I can live a life that I want, right? So you're going to have to figure out what's going to be my monthly budget when I retire, sorry. Okay? So again, here's my answer, guys, if you're wondering where it is, right there. All right, let's try another one here. Okay, suppose you invest $150 monthly into an annuity. So that's a regular what? That's a regular payment. We're going to make it negative because they're going to give us money back. Either one of these has to be negative. Into an annuity that pays 4.5% interest, so 4.5 compounded monthly, so that means compounds per year, periods per year, and 12 times 10, because it's 10 years later, so that's going to equal 120 when we're done. Okay, and what we want to do is say how much money will we have. So if we start with nothing, how much will we have? And this is what we're trying to find, is the future value. Okay, so this could be, you know, say you're saving up in 10 years, you want to, you know, buy a new house or go on a big vacation or something, and you're going to put 150 away each month for 10 years. And this is a good idea to see, hey, how does money grow and what amount of money we're going to have here. So let's go to the graphing calculator again. I'm going to go to the top and just type over top, so it's okay. So you can do 10 times 12 or 12 times 10. My interest rate is 4.5. My present value is 0. My payment is negative. Don't forget, it's a negative button, not subtract button. Future value, we're going to come back to in a second. Monthly changes, so I'm going to go back to my future value, hit alpha, and enter. Wow, that's pretty cool. So if I just take $150 and put it away each month for 10 years, I'm going to end up with $22,000. Okay, just give me a second, and I'm going to snapshot that, and then I'll just show you some street smarts on this. Okay. Bring that down here. Okay. So what does that say? So therefore, you will have $22,679.71 in 10 years. Okay? Now you might say, hey, Ms. R, how much interest is that? Okay? Well, what you know that you have how many payments are you making? Hopefully you realize you got 120. Okay? So if I take 120, let me grab a calculator that works. So that one just doesn't work. Okay, so if I take 120 and times it by 150, okay, so if I just did it with no interest, so say I just stayed it and put it in my piggy bank or something. So if I did 120 payments times $150, that equals $18,000. Okay, and if I take the $22,679 $679 and $71. That tells me that I've earned interest amount of $4,679.71. So it's worth it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just trying to figure out, this is how much you gave away in payments, but how much interest is being earned. Okay? Cool. All right, let's take a look at one more here, ladies and gentlemen. Next page. Okay? You borrow $12,000 to buy a car. So if you're borrowing money, that's your principal that you start with. Okay? If the bank charges 6.5% interest, okay, compounded monthly, it will take 6 years to pay off. Okay, so that tells me it's going to be 12 times 6. And question is, in the end, you don't want to have to pay the bank any, or you want to pay the bank any money. So we're going to try to find, what's your payment going to be? This is the cool thing. I love this because you can figure out, hey, I can figure out my payment amount, and then you can figure out, hey, can this budget? Can I afford this in my monthly budget? Okay, so for A, what's my monthly payment? So let's go over to the graphing calculator, plug this stuff in. Okay, so I have 6 times 12. Okay, my present value, or my principal, is 12,000. Okay, I have a payment of 0. I have a future value of 0. Don't have to pay anymore. 12, 12, that's good. So I go back to, oh, come on. Uh-oh, I don't know what I did here. Oh, I got to put my pen down. Sorry, guys. That's the problem. Here, I got to go back up here to payment. Go alpha. Take a guess. What do you guys think? How much do you think you're going to have to pay? So 6 years, you get this back. Press enter. And I made an error somewhere. Oh, it reset. Sorry, let me clear that. Technology dysfunction. So just a second. Enter that. What we have a problem here is this reset. So it was supposed to be 6 times 12, right? 6 times... Sorry, 6 times 12. Did I have that right? Oh, maybe I do have it right, guys. Sorry. Oh, no, there's something wrong there. 6 times 12. We had the wrong one there. So let's back that up. Now we'll try that again. Sorry, guys. Take a guess, because the first one was definitely wrong. Here we go. Alpha, enter. Okay, here's my problem. My interest rate is wrong, so I apologize, guys. Technology difficulty. Here we go. Let's put that back in. 6.5. Okay, see if we can get her now. All right, you guys ready? Alpha, enter. That's more reasonable. What did you guys guess? Did you guys get it? Did I guess right? Okay, so what does that mean? You think, hey, can I afford that in my budget? Can I afford to have, and that's negative, guys. That's what it's covering up. Okay, so it is monthly payment, and you can use PMT for payment, of $201.72. Hey, that's pretty good for a payment. Okay. B, how much interest will you pay over the term of the loan? Okay. Well, just remember your final amount, just like we did on the last page, is your payment amount times the number of payments you did. So the payment amount is $201.72. Times it by 72 payments. Okay, which is right there. Okay, and that equals $14,523.84. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, the bank is going to make money off you. Okay, so interest equals A minus P. So your total amount is $14,523.84. Subtract 12,000. We'll give you $2,523.84. So therefore, you paid $2,523.84 in interest. And that's not too bad. Okay, folks? Just so you know, if you get a bigger house, ladies and gentlemen, you may, and you're getting a mortgage, you may pay more in interest than the house is actually worth by the time it takes you to pay off that mortgage if you're doing a 25 or 30-year mortgage. Okay? I know that sounds crazy. Next part, if you don't have access to a TVM solver, then you will use a calculator. You've got a formula that you can use. Okay, so we relate this to the geometric series. Okay, so annuities is geometric series. Okay, plugging that in, we can try this last one here, ladies and gentlemen, with this either or formula. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is, if we're going to use the first formula, S at N, using this example here, we're going to try both formulas. Okay, I'm just going to pause for a second. Sorry, guys. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to have to do this after my last lesson, so sorry. I'm going to try and get it done, guys. Here we go. All right, so the first formula, S at N equals A R times R to the N minus 1. And again, these formulas will be provided for you. So let's sub in. What do we know? We know A equals 50 because that's your amount that you're doing regularly. So that's your payment amount. Okay. N equals 12, which is compounded monthly, times 5 years. So that's going to equal 60. And then we got to figure out R. R equals 1 plus I. So R equals 1 plus 0.054, your interest rate, over 12. Okay, subbing that in, instead of S at N, we know we got S at 60 equals my A amount, which is 50. Okay, big bracket, okay, 1 plus 0.054 divided by 12. Okay, and again, I know this is tricky because there's 3 sets of brackets. Okay, all divided by R minus 1. So, some people like the graphing calculator because it emits all, it gets away from doing all these crazy calculations. Okay, so plug in your calculator, see if you can do it. S at 60 equals $3,435.24. Okay, let's try it with the second method. Ooh, I'm running out of room. Let's see if I can do it over here. Okay, so the second one is A equals R, 1 plus I to the N minus 1, all over I. Okay, so taking a look here, we know R equals 50, okay, because it's the regular amount. I, we already calculated 0.054 divided by 12, and N equals 60. So subbing that in, we got 50 times 1 plus 0.054 divided by 12, 2 closing brackets, all raised to 60, subtract 1. I know you're saying, Miss R, this is craziness. But your calculator does the work for you as long as you know how to plug it in. Okay, and you plug that in and you'll get the same answer. So $3,435.24. So therefore, whoo, got through there. $3,435.24 will be in the investment in 5 years. Okay, so all you need to realize is if you start putting money away, that's only $50, guys. $50 each month for 5 years, and you're going to have $3,000 saved up. I'm not sure where you are in terms of saving for university, but as much as you can put away, I would recommend doing it, earning the interest so that school or wherever you're heading, school or work or buying a house, buying a car, so that you've got some money. All right, here's my homework, folks. Page 511, number 6, 8, 9, and 13. Have a fabulous day and be financially smart.